Hello, welcome to my crib. No, we're not doing one of them stupid videos. F***ing dogs, man. Shut up! Now today's video is my top tips how you store your survival and prepping gear at home. Plus we can have a look around my stores. Let's check it out. Hello, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for taking the time out to check the channel out and click on the videos. So today's video, we're going to dive into one of them aspects that's pretty important in the world of survival and prepping, and that's how do you store your gear, or my top tips how you store your gear at home.
That sounds amazing.
Now before we get into it, I know the way I store my gear is going to be totally different to a lot of people, and my circumstances, you know, my space and whatever I got is going to be not relevant to a lot of people. So everybody's circumstances are different, aren't they? You might not have, you know, a garage. You might have thousands of acres. You know, there's a difference between what sort of storage space you've got. So take that in mind. This is how I store my stuff and my top tips. Take it as you will. If it's relevant to yourselves, if you take something out of it, good. But if what I'm saying is complete irrelevant to your circumstances, or you've got a better way of doing things, put them in the comments below and just bear with it.
Get on with it. Say what you have to say.
It's just one of those things. I was sorting out my stores the other day. I just finished off my food processing area where I converted some of the garage into an area for processing meat, storing food long term, you know, packaging it up and all that sort of stuff. So I thought, right, while I'm sorting my gear out, I'll do a video on it. So yeah, prepping and survival kit, you spend a lot of money on it, you know, whether it's food or camping equipment or whatever it is, knives, axes, you know, crossbows, there's a range of different stuff. So whether you're an experienced seasoned prepper or you're relatively new to it, having the correct storage solutions for your kit and equipment and food could make the difference in an emergency situation. So let's just quickly discuss a few points why that storage solution is crucial. So first one is longevity of supplies, whether it's your food or your tents or whatever equipment it is. Storing it correctly ensures that when the time comes when you need it, your kit and equipment is going to be in good order. It's no good storing your stuff poorly and then the time comes to use it and the tins are all rusty or your tent's got holes in it. So not only can poor storage lead to spoilt foods and damaged equipment, it can also waste a lot of money, can't it? You know, you spend a lot of money on this sort of stuff. So having the correct storage of your kit and equipment and your food ensures longevity. Also, accessibility. Having your stuff easily located where you can get to it easy in a time of emergency is key. It's no good putting it somewhere and then you've got to fight over bloody all sorts of stuff just to get the equipment, and it's stored in a place where it's not easily accessible, or when you do get your kit and equipment, it's all over the place. It's like an admin explosion, we call it. So there's kit everywhere. So having your stuff located where it's easy accessible and it's organized correctly, when an emergency happens or you need to find equipment pretty sharpish, it's easily done so. So that's a little bit on why storage matters. Let's just dive into my few top tips on how to store your prepping and survival gear properly at home. So while I do this, we'll have a bit of a walk around as well. I won't show you everything. Right, so the first tip is to choose the right location for storing your kit and equipment. So ideally you want a cool, dark, moisture-free, you know, a dry room where you can store your kit and equipment. So you want to be a nice cool room. You don't want that temperature fluctuations, freezing in the winter and boiling hot in the summer. It wants to be a steady, cool temperature, as dry as you can possibly get it, and dark, away from any natural sunlight. No natural sunlight in the room whatsoever. Sunlight can degrade certain plastics. It can form algae growth in your water if you're storing water. So yeah, stay away from natural sunlight.
Stay away from the light!
If you have got a window in there, obviously get a blackout blind. Yeah, you could have a basement, you could have a shed, insulated shed, you could have a spare room or a garage. Now before anybody just kicks off on one, I haven't got a garage, I haven't got a basement, I haven't got a loft, or I haven't got a spare room. Well, I know everybody's different, so what you have got to do is make the most of the space you have got. If you have got a slightly colder part of the house, store your stuff in here, under the stairs. You just got to think a little bit outside the box. But as long as you keep to them three things really in a room, which is dark, away from any natural sunlight, cool, so not too hot, not too cold, and dry. You know, zero moisture. Moisture will ruin anything, won't it? You know, it'll rust your tins, rust your knives, stuff will go mouldy. So you stick to them three things and you should be good to go. So in my situation, like I said, I've got a garage. In the garage, I'll just give you a bit of a tour. yeah, it's got all the usual tools and whatnot. Got a bit of equipment up here. Got my storage boxes, my pedal cases, norgies, water storage. Got my stuff for my canoes, bit of food, my food processing area, and also my little workbench. So that's my first top tip, is choosing the right location for your supplies. The next tip I got is to organize things in categories. So when you're storing your tack, keep certain items together which are in the same category. So in this case, got all my outdoor cooking equipment, my big pots, my cast iron pots, got my camping table. That's all in the same area as my camping equipment, my outdoor kitchen stuff. Down here I've got my pots and pans. I've got my field kitchen down here. So all my camping and cooking equipment in one area. So if I need to get something, I know exactly where it is. Hopefully, if I put it back in the right place. And then I can just get it when I need it. And that brings me on to the next point, and that's labeling everything. Right, it might seem totally obvious in it, but having correct labels on all your storage containers, no matter what storage containers they are, is essential, in my book anyway. So again, it's all about speed, isn't it? When you can find stuff. In an emergency situation, you don't want to rummaging through different boxes. Oh, what did I put in there? What's in that one? Or the boxes you've got is just a total chaos of stuff. Label everything. You know, you might be a bit of a nerd about it, but it's just so much easier if when a time comes you need to find something, you know exactly where it is. Again, when you're using your kit and need to put it back, believe it or not, it's easier if all the boxes are labelled up. You can just put this stuff straight back in the box it's supposed to go, and you haven't got a complete mess everywhere. I've got all these boxes down here, labelled up. This one, paracord. As you can see, I've got loads of paracord in here. There's hammock straps, all that sort of stuff. We've got water filters, matches, crossbow spears. We've got lights and torches, comms, warm clothes, bit of nav stuff, ration snacks, water bottles and mugs. It's all labelled. And if I got loose stuff that goes on the shelves, I label the shelves as well. Now I have seen a few videos where people colour code things, and to me that's just going a bit too far.
So they are nerds.
Oh, they're raging geeks.
As long as you've got a clear label on your box or on the shelves, like I said, and you know exactly where stuff is going and it's categorised, so you know roughly the area, it just makes that job a lot easier when you need to find stuff and when you need to put stuff away. Now the next tip is all about using the proper containers for your kit and equipment, especially food. And for that, we're going to have a look in what the kids call the prepping room. I just call it the stores. Let's go. Having the proper containers to store your gear. As you've seen in the last tip, I had all my bits and bobs in these plastic boxes, which is great for organising your gear. But when it comes to food items, it's essential to keep your stuff in proper sealed containers. The last thing you want, if you've got a mice or rodent problem, is them little vermin get into your food supplies and totally ruin it. A, you'll have no food, you'll be spoiled. And two, it's a waste of money, isn't it? You've wasted all that money on that food and it's just gone down the pan because you've allowed some mice to get in there and enjoy themselves. And another good thing about these boxes, you can see how much stock you've got inside. So when the stock levels are running low, you can see it and you can get some more in. So where it's these plastic containers, you know, these are cheapest chips. They'll keep the rodents out. This is where we keep some long-term food supplies. Or another container by your blue barrels. There you've got some rice. Or you can get your food grade buckets, which I sell in the shop. So yeah, having the proper or decent storage boxes for all your gear is another good top tip, in my opinion. So your food grade buckets, your barrels, and having these sort of containers, these boxes, which can stack, you know, really easily on top of each other. Not only is it keeping your stuff dry and free from any damage, it saves space, doesn't it? So that's another top tip, is having the correct or some decent storage boxes that will not only keep your stuff safe and free of damage, but keep the critters out as well. that. Now another tip is rotating stock. Now when it comes to food, I don't take much notice of best before dates, but when I do buy some more food, I put obviously the new ones at the back and the old ones at the front. But you want to periodically check expiration dates on things like medicines and medical supplies. Things like creams, some sort of kids' medicines, but pain relief. When it comes to dressings, yeah, they're going to last forever, aren't they? But some dressings with adhesives on them, or maybe even burn dressings where they've got a gel, just regularly checked that they're still usable, they're okay. Just regularly check them. And if something like this has gone way past its expiration date, I just open one up and just make sure it's still good to go. Yeah, you might sacrifice one, but at least the rest of your stock should be okay. Again, the last thing you want to do is when the time comes and you need some of this stuff, and you could be in a serious situation, open up the packet and it's rubbish in it. And you go, oh, shit, I wish I bought more of them, or I wish I kept up to date with my stock. So it just pays well to take a look at your stock, rotate it if you're buying new stuff regularly, and old stock, just check it to make sure it still works as it should. So another tip, my head is shining, is to keep critical items easily accessible. So this is a case of, say, grab bags or bug out bags. You don't want to put them in the back of the storage area. So if you are that way inclined and you've got a bug out bag, you want to make sure you position it where it's easily accessible, where you can get out to Dodge pretty quick. Another thing to consider, especially if you're bugging out in a vehicle, is have your gear stored in petty cases or boxes like this. We can easily grab it, take it out, chuck it in your vehicle, and away to go. That's the same with the barrels and with the storage containers. Just like this one, labelled up bug out food. So if I have to bug out pretty quick and taking the vehicle, just grab that. And I know I've got a good supply of food. Same as the Norgies, fantastic piece of kit. Hot or cold stuff can go in here. If I needed a bug out, I can just open one of these up, chuck the stuff in, shut it up, and away to go. Same as the water containers. They're there, easily accessible. So if I did want to bug out in the vehicle to leave pretty quick, I could just fill one of these up full of food. I can fill a box up full of supplies. I can grab boxes off the shelf. I can grab a couple of jerry cans full of water in the vehicle and gone. So yeah, having your critical items, your essential bug out items, having them easily accessible, you can easily get to them, and also you can easily grab them and go. So the next thing is firearms. Now this in the UK is not going to apply to most people, but to some it will, and especially those who are watching in America, this will apply, is making sure your firearms are safely stored. In the UK, it's a requirement by law, make sure you've got a gun cabinet, which is obviously works, and that gun cabinet is going to be safely secured to usually the exterior of the building, to some sort of masonry wall, fixed to the floor and to the wall. Now myself, I haven't got firearms or a shotgun certificate, but I do keep my air rifles, or some of them anyway at least, in the gun cabinet. Ammunition is in another cupboard, so it's all about safety, isn't it? If someone gets hold of them, who shouldn't have, it could be a disaster waiting to happen, couldn't it? So this could also not just apply to firearms, but also things like crossbows and bows as well. Having them stored in an area where they're out of reach if you've got small kids. So I've got some crossbows on the walls, but all my bolts are in the box just down here. Well, some of them anyway. And my knives, saws and sharp things are in the box on the top shelf. So the last tip then, I suppose, is safely storing your, what you could class as dangerous, potentially dangerous items safely, such as your knives, crossbows, and if you have got them, firearms. So there's the top tips. I've got a couple of things you should avoid, but before that, I'll just give you a quick tour of what the kids call the prepping room. And it's only a small room, it's the size of a small garage, I suppose. But the walls are 20 inches thick, solid masonry. It's partially underground. You've got two steel doors on either end, security doors, so it's pretty hard to get in. And yeah, it's a bit of a lad's cave, I suppose, a man cave, whatever you call it. So up there we've got loads of sleeping bags. Kept in these army surplus laundry bags. Bit of clothing. All my warm weather gear is in here. My thermals, gloves, all that sort of stuff, hats. Comm centre, CB, got the CCTV cameras, computer, all that sort of good stuff. TV for watching rugby matches. I don't know if you can spot me on there. Up here somewhere I am. This seating area, the kids sleep in here when they have sleepovers. It pulls out to be 2 double beds plus the bunk beds, so you can sleep up to like 7 people in here. Cupboard, medical stuff, a few bits and bobs. More bits and bobs, some NPC stuff. The rocker bags. And food storage. Got a working toilet and sink in here as well. So here's a quick tour of the prepping room. I don't mind showing you around. You've probably seen most of it before anyway, on certain live streams, which I sit just by there somewhere, and certain videos. So there's my top tips on how to store your gear and supplies safely. Things to consider, my top tips anyway. And there's a couple of things you should avoid. And the first one being, don't overload your shelves. Now you can get carried away with shelving. You think it looks pretty sturdy. You fill your boxes up. But really, this sort of shelving, unless you make it yourself with some really good timber, this sort of shelving is only designed to take so much weight. So if you're going to a kit in your boxes, it's all labelled, just think about distributing the weight evenly. Don't have all the heavy equipment in one area and then light equipment at the bottom. Try and think, right, I'll spread the weight out. The last thing you want is you've filled your shelves up, you've taken a picture of it, you put it on Instagram, you think, yeah, job's done. And go back next day, the shelves have collapsed, all your gear's in pieces, and you've just wasted hundreds of pounds of your hard-earned money. And if you just spend a little bit of time just thinking what sort of gear should go in what place and spreading that weight, would have saved not just embarrassment, but saved a bit of money as well, isn't it?
I've got nothing left. I've got nothing left.
So the thing to avoid or to consider is not to overload your shelves and distribute that weight evenly if you can. If you have got heavy items, get them on the floor, isn't it, or at the bottom, where it's not going to fall and maybe potentially hurt someone as well. So that was the first one. The second one being, don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's a favourite saying, isn't it? But if you have all your supplies, all your best supplies in one area, it's easily accessible. You go all labelled up. It's in easily carried boxes, and you're compromised. Someone's broken in. It's easy pickings, isn't it? You think, oh, really? Oh, look at this guy. He's got all his best gear in his boxes. I know exactly what's in the boxes. The boxes are easy to grab and go. So all your kit is gone. You know, if it was broken into or compromised, like I said. Same as the food supplies. I got a little bit in here. I got a little bit in the prepping room. Yes, it's got 2 steel security doors, lockable. But I still don't put everything in there, just in case. You just think it could be a fire in the room. And if everything you had is in that one room, it's all gone, isn't it? If you have got multiple rooms or multiple locations on your site, where, like say, it's a basement, a garage, a storage shed, wherever it is, split some of your food supplies up in them. Perhaps not all your camping equipment and all that sort of stuff, you want that in one area. But when it comes to things like your food storage, water storage, some sort of survival gear, if you split that up and you lost one part of it for whatever reason, fire, theft, at least you got some more, haven't you? So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Try and avoid putting all your stuff in one area. So there we have it, guys. There's my top tips on how to store your survival gear and prepping gear correctly, and a couple of things to avoid as well. Just like I said, these are just my top tips. If you've got anything to suggest, anything better, put them in the comments below. I know everybody's situation is different. The storage space is different. The budgets are different. So no matter what your situation is, if you store it correctly, it's going to last a long time. It's going to be in good condition, and it's going to be there for when you need it, isn't it? That's the idea. And as I just said, if you have got any of your own hints and tips, stick them in the comments below. I'll be happy to have a look at them. And if you do enjoy the videos, please think about liking, subscribing, hit the notification bell. And if you want to see some more videos, check that one out and that one. And I'll catch you again next time. All the best.